Do you think you missed the 90s or the early 2000s because the music was better, the cartoons were more creative, or life was just simpler? The dark psychology of millennials suggests the answer is much more disturbing and less flattering. You aren't revisiting the past for aesthetic pleasure. You are hiding there. There rests a biological and behavioral reason why your generation is statistically the most anxious in modern history and simultaneously the most obsessed with nostalgia. Your brain, overloaded by a state of constant alert, has learned to use memory not as an archive, but as a bunker against a present that feels too hostile to face. But there is a hidden cost to this time travel. While you numb yourself with the aesthetics of a golden age that perhaps never existed the way you remember it, your tolerance for reality atrophies. Maybe this sounds like a gut punch, but you need to hear it. What you call longing is actually a mechanism for refusing adulthood. You're trying to solve problems of financial and existential survival with the emotional tools of a child. And I'm going to show you what no one wants to admit about how this cycle of anxiety and escape was designed to keep you stagnant, consuming the past while your future is silently eroded. We'll get started in a second, but first, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's dissect the first mechanism operating in your subconscious, the Golden Age Fallacy. When you consume content from the 90s or early 2000s, your brain isn't just accessing a happy memory. It is actively editing reality to exclude the pain. Psychologically, nostalgia acts as a coping mechanism, a cheap form of emotional regulation to deal with an unacceptable present. You idealize the past not because it was perfect, but because it was predictable. The future, with its economic crises and climate collapse, is a source of constant threat. The market knows this. Brands exploit this cognitive fragility by selling retro products not as collector's items, but as visual tranquilizers. You buy the aesthetic of the past, hoping to buy the safety you felt when someone else paid your bills. It's a mental trap where you live stuck in dead time, ignoring the demands of living time. And this leads us to the root of the problem. Why is the present so unbearable that it requires this escape? Because you are part of the anxious generation, the first guinea pigs of the 24/7 connection experiment. The trauma of being always on isn't just about phone addiction, it's about the destruction of mental privacy. You grew up under a regime of constant social comparison, where self-esteem isn't intrinsic, but calculated by external metrics of approval. The psychological impact of this life curation is devastating. Your brain interprets the lack of digital validation as tribal rejection, a death threat in evolutionary terms. The anxiety you feel isn't a factory defect. It's the result of living under uninterrupted scrutiny, generating a state of burnout and chronic insecurity. You are exhausted because you are performing all the time, even when you are alone. Now, let's explore the second, more subtle mechanism: selective memory bias. Your brain is not a high-fidelity recorder. It's a storyteller that prioritizes survival, not accuracy. When you remember your childhood, your mind actively filters out the boredom, the family arguments, and the existential dread of being a kid with no control. What remains is a curated highlight reel. This isn't just a harmless mental quirk. It has serious consequences. It creates a distorted benchmark for happiness, making your adult life, with its genuine complexities and responsibilities, seem like a failure by comparison. This manufactured sense of inadequacy is a goldmine for advertisers. They don't just sell you old movies or video games. They sell you a dopamine hit tied to a falsified past. You're not buying a product. You re-buying a momentary escape from the feeling that you were not living up to a past that never really existed. It's a feedback loop. The more you consume these nostalgic products, the more you reinforce the belief that the past was better, and the less equipped you become to find joy and meaning in the present. So, how do you break this cycle of curated despair and nostalgic escapism? The first step is radical acceptance of the present. This doesn't mean you have to love every aspect of your current reality. It means acknowledging it without the filter of an idealized past. It means facing the financial anxieties, the career uncertainties, and the social pressures head-on. The second step is to consciously curate your present, not just your social media feed. This involves creating new rituals, new memories, and new sources of joy that are rooted in your current life. Instead of re-watching a show from your childhood for the 10th time, maybe you could try starting a new hobby, learning a new skill, or investing time in a relationship that matters to you right now. The goal is not to erase the past, but to stop using it as a sedative. It is about building a present that is compelling enough that you don't feel the constant need to escape it. This is not about abandoning the things you loved. It's about creating new things to love. It's about shifting your focus from who you were to who you are becoming. By doing this, you reclaim your agency. You stop being a passive consumer of a manufactured past and become the active architect of a meaningful future. Thanks for watching. Have you ever wondered why you feel so anxious all the time? I'm sure you've thought about it, but maybe you haven't found a real solution. That's because the issue runs much, much deeper. Millennial anxiety isn't just snowflake behavior. It's a defense mechanism, a response to economic burnout and the feeling of a stolen future. Think about it. Unlike the generations before us, we watched the social contract just completely fall apart. The promise that if you worked hard in school, you'd be guaranteed a stable, comfortable life? That promise was broken. What we're dealing with is a classic case of learned helplessness. We were conditioned, year after year, to believe that no matter how hard we try, the system, especially when it comes to finances and housing, is rigged against us. This constant disappointment leads to a kind of paralysis. Our brains, realizing that the promised reward is basically unreachable, stop giving us that nice dopamine hit for our achievements. Instead, we just get a steady drip of cortisol, the stress hormone, fueled by a constant fear of scarcity. So your anxiety isn't a sign of weakness. It's a perfectly rational biological response to a world where the rules we were taught to play by simply don't apply anymore. And how do we cope with this pain? We dive headfirst into digital escapism, getting addicted to a virtual past. The very technology that was supposed to connect us to the world today is now tying us to who we used to be. Those on this day features or the annual recap videos are not just innocent tools. They create a powerful cognitive dissonance. They force you to constantly compare your younger self, full of so much potential, with your current self, who might be feeling tired and buried in debt. This addiction to looking back at our own lives prevents any real emotional healing. We get stuck in a painful loop of hating our present and romanticizing a past that, ironically, only really exists on a data server somewhere. And this cycle keeps us from building anything real or solid in the now. So how do we break free? It takes a brutal mental restructuring, not just another nostalgic hobby. The cure for this paralysis starts the moment you stop treating the past as a safe haven and start treating the present as the only battlefield you have. Ask yourself this one crucial question. Am I looking at this old memory to inspire myself, or am I just using it to numb myself? The difference is subtle, but it's everything. It's the difference between resting and hiding. You have to accept the discomfort of living in this broken era. Your anxiety won't magically disappear when the world becomes safe. It will decrease when you stop waiting for safety and start acting anyway. while you're spending all your mental energy polishing these old memories of a time with no responsibilities, the real opportunities of adulthood are passing you by. The ones that require courage, risk, and showing up right now. The true cost of living in the past is the death of your future. Remember, nostalgia is so seductive because it asks nothing of you. It's easy, but it also gives you nothing in return. Life is only happening in the time you are so desperately trying to ignore. Now, please do me a favor and leave a comment. Tell me if you liked or disliked this, and more importantly, why. Your thoughts can help someone else reflect on this too. And take a moment to subscribe to the channel so we can keep exploring ideas like this together. See you in the next video.